Viewers and subscribers. Basically, I'm going to do the hookup today of the vent outside with the blower and the temperature controller, and I'm going to attach the adapter to the hose and attach the adapter to the computer. So I'll take off the side panel and we'll get that off, and then we'll get that fan off the back, and then we'll install that adapter on the back. So, and we'll show you the rest of the setup as well when I go to do the last connection in the window. And it's pretty well straightforward. I don't think I have to do a full detailed video on that. So basically, we'll get that hooked up and we'll get the tools ready, and let's get this started. So these are the tools that I took out. I'm going to use a cordless drill to make it easier. I got a drill bit hole for the screws. So I'll get the proper bit for that, but you're going to need a drill bit. The clippers to cut the vent. If you want to trim it, I'm not going to trim it. I'm going to leave it at that first, and if it's too long, then I'll just cut some off. Then you're going to need 2 screwdrivers to screw the screws in. We need some aluminum foil to put over the vent when we put it on. I don't have enough clamps, so I'm going to just put it on with the aluminum tape for the moment, and then when I get the other 2 clamps, I'll just basically put them on after the fact. And then I got a flashlight available just in case if I need to get any extra light. And if you want to do some measurements with your vent to find out how long you want to make it, then you'll need a measuring tape as well. So this is everything that we will need, and I'll get the case cover off and then we'll get started. So we already have the holes already pre-drilled in this vent, so we won't have to use the drill bit to make the holes, because they're basically been drilled out, so that's great. So now what we're going to do is just get the cover off, and then let's get this vent attached. Shouldn't be too complicated. Then I got the other drill bit just hanging around just in case, because I may put more than 3, and I may put a 4th screw instead of just 3. You'll see how good it mounts. And before you do any projects, always disconnect your power from your computer and any cables that are going to be too short. I may take out the rest, but I got enough slack on these cables, I should be fine. Now, the next thing we gotta do is take out those 4 screws that are holding the back fan in, so I can get access to it so that I can screw it in. Okay, now we got all 4 screws out. So you just pull this fan out and just put that to the side. If you have a long enough cord, you can probably just lay it on the top like I just did. So then that comes out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the vent over it like that, and then where those grate holes are at, we're going to use them as mounting points to hold it on. Now we have to make sure we use flush mount screws because we don't want it to interfere with the fan. So basically, I know it's not the exact size, but that's all that was available at the time in stock. So in the future, I'll get one that's 140 millimeter with a 2-inch adapter, so a flange, so it goes from a 140 millimeter down to a 75 millimeter. So that's that there. So let's screw this on. And the screws we're going to use is 4 of the fan screws. Those are the type of screws that look like for the fan. So I got 1 screw through holding the vent on, so now I'm going to screw it down tight and snug it. So that's what it looks like with 1 screw in, and the vent is very snug, it's not slacking. And there's what it looks from the back with the screw in from the bottom. So now I'll put in all other 2 screws. Be right back. Now, due to the way I'm venting it with that vent, the adapter, those fan screws are not going to work. I'm going to have to go with something with a point on it so that it will bite, because it's just due to the positioning of the honeycomb on the back, so it's not lining up. So hopefully when I use the pointy screw, it'll bite, and then I'll just take it back out and then put one of these screws in just to get it pre-ready. Screw I'm talking about is right there, the fan blades, the fan screws. It does have the sharp point on, so it'll bite, So hopefully when I get it threaded through with that screw, that'll be able to go back to those ones. I just want to make everything look finished. It's not like, untidy kind of deal. So I just want to make sure I use all the same type of screws. Yeah, that's connected there with the 3 screws. It's quite firm. I'm not going to put a 4th one in there. That's good. So now let's attach the hose. And there's the duct hooked back to the computer. I don't have any pipe clamps. I was short 2, so I'm going to have to wait for those 2 to come in, and I'll put them on later on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some aluminum foil tape, and then we'll adhere it that way so that it just doesn't slip off, because more than likely it'll probably slip off if I don't put something on it. So let's put some tape around it. Back off the vent hose just a little bit, because if you're going to use tape like I'm going to use, you'll need some type of surface for the tape to stick to, so it'll go to the hose and the flange. And what I always do, I prefer to cut it to the size I'm going to need. I go a little 1.5 inches longer so you can overlap over the joint. So now I'll just wrap it around. And the way I always put tape over a tube or type is I always do it from the bottom of the part that you can't see, and then line that up perfectly, then just wrap it around. It's a lot more easier that way. And that's what it looks like with the tape on it. I would have preferred black, but another restraint due to after COVID, hard to find certain things. So I had to work with what I was able to get, which is the aluminum foil, shiny. Alright, that's done. Now what we got to do is we got to find a spot to mount the sensor for the temperature control, which turns the fan on and off. So that is our next step. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to put that other fan in and show you what it looks like with the fan in. So that's what it looks like from the back. It's all hooked up. Now let's put the fan on. Now that's the fan put back in, and there's the back view of it. And here's the, well, that was the front, this is the back. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably put a zip tie on that as well. I'm just going to double up 2 zip ties together. I'll show you how to do that. It's a nifty little tip. So what you do is you take a zip tie. If you don't have a zip tie that's big enough to go around a pipe, so what you do is you take your end right here, and then you take your other zip tie. Now make sure that when you put it in that it's on the teeth, because if it's not going to bite. You'll know if you put it on wrong. So then you put the zip tie through. Let's see here. And then push until it clicks. Okay, now it's tight and taut. So now you have a longer zip tie. So now we just zip tie it around the tube. Well, zip tie is out. I had 2 zip ties and they still weren't big enough, so I would need 3, but I can't find a 3rd one to do that with, so I guess we'll just have to proceed. So the next thing now, what we're going to do is find a way of fishing the temperature probe through the computer so that we can monitor it on the inside, so that it will turn the fan on and off, so that the fan is not running at all times. So where I think I'm going to run it through, the only spot I could see is above the video card, or we can run it through one of the vents that I have the cover off of. No, well, I did. I took it off. So that's it. So the other thing, I can fish it through one of the video card vents there as well at the bottom, down on the other board, the other system. Meaning right over here. Some more light. Right down there at the bottom. And just open up one of those vents and let it through. But I think I'm going to put it through the video card slot, because I think it'll be a lot more easier. And heat does rise, so it's probably better off to put the temperature sensor above the top to monitor it better. So I'll fish that through. Here's the temperature probe. You can take the suction cup off. It was easier to fish through with the suction cup off. Suction cup. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the temperature probe back on the suction cup, and I'm just going to stick it on the back of the glass panel for now. And later on down the road, I'll have to get some copper tape, an insulator. It's like a plastic, so that it puts a barrier between it. So I just don't want the probe touching the case. Maybe it'll cause a short. I'm not sure. It may not, but I'm not going to take any chances. So that's fished through there now. So now we're going to mount it. And there's the suction cup back on the temperature probe. Now I gotta do one more thing before we button this up. I discovered I was missing a screw in the bottom motherboard when I was plugging something in last night, so I'll have to tighten that down before we button her up. And okay. Now I am going to stick the suction cup there, but it's not strong enough, it keeps falling off. So I'm just going to add some double-side tape to it and just stick it. So all the screws are back in at the bottom of the board. They're all tight now. And there's the temperature probe mounted there. I would have mounted on top of the CPU cooler, but you wouldn't see the deep cool, and I didn't think it would look nice there, so I laid it there. I probably will find a better spot in the future for it, but this is just for temporary at the moment. Just for testing purposes, and I can find the sweet spot for the fan to turn on and off. So the next thing is put the cover on and get this buttoned up. Now that's the side all buttoned up. I'll have to wipe it off later on so it looks a little more cleaner. But basically that's in there. Everything is in tight. Everything's done. There's the vent now. I'm just going to hook up all the cords and then we'll give it a try and see what it sounds like. It's all buttoned up back under the desk. That's the fan turned on. You can barely hear it. But I'll be doing another video to venting it outside and the rest of it, how I got it all set up and vented outside. And we'll do another update. And there's the temperature controller to turn the fan on and off. I set it at roughly 65 Celsius. So anytime it hits hits 65, it'll automatically come on. But I don't know. I gotta find out if I want it on that long. I may have to up it, but I'll have to find the sweet spot to set the appropriate time. But that'll be in another video. And if you like this video, hit like and subscribe. And I use all the viewers and subscribers as possible. And I do thank you for viewing and your support. And see you on the flip side.